Today I will be showing you how to take this one scale and turn it into 72 different scales. Now, to explain first what we're doing, this is a Western approach to Carnatic or South Indian music. Specifically, there are 72 different ragas or scales. To explain, firstly, the word raga is the Indian word for scale, more or less. And the word chakra used here is a group of scales. So every time I say the word chakra, I'm referring to a group of scales, and every time I say the word raga, I'm referring to just scales. So, to explain a bit more, there are 12 different chakras or groups of scales with 6 different scales in each, and this totals to 72 scales altogether. Now, all you need to do to play all of these 72 different scales is this scale right here. So you might want to write it down or memorize it. And how this one scale becomes 72 different scales is one simple formula, or relatively easy to understand formula or pattern, applied to 2 places and then a variable. So let's get started. These are the scales in the first chakra or group of scales. And the only thing that differentiates the scales from each other are the 6th and the 7th scale degrees. So in order to go from scale to scale, all you need to understand is this formula. And the formula is minor diminished, then minor minor, then minor major, then major minor, then major major, then augmented major. And how this works is that you could imagine that the 6th and the 7th scale degrees are trying to move to the right. And for the first 3 scales, the 7th makes this journey from diminished in the first scale to minor in the 2nd scale, and then major in the 3rd scale. And then it goes back, almost as though it realizes that it left the 6th behind. So in the 4th scale, it goes back to minor, and the 6th scale greets it in major. And then in the 5th, the 7th goes major, and then in the 6th scale, it's almost like the 6th is finally following along, and it augments just behind the 7th scale degree. You might want to write down this formula, because this formula is what will teach you pretty much all 72 different scales. Now, to further explain, this is just one chakra. So this one chakra has 6 different scales. Every chakra has 6 different scales. This is only the first. And how all the scales in a chakra differentiate from each other are the 6th and the 7th intervals following this formula of minor diminished, minor minor, minor major, major minor, major major, and then augmented major. So whenever you want to change a raga or a scale, whenever you're in a specific chakra, all you have to do is move the 6th or the 7th scale degrees in this formula in order to go from one after the other. Now I will explain how the chakras themselves work. So these 6 scales are the first scales of every chakra, or the first 6 chakras, I mean. So these are the first ragas, or scales, in the first 6 group of scales. And the only difference going from chakra to chakra, or from group of scale to group of scale, follows the same formula. It's just applied in a different place. Instead of whenever you just want to change from scale to scale, you change the 6th to the 7th. If you want to change from group of scale or group of scales, you apply the same formula of change to the 2nd and the 3rd degrees, to the 2nd and the 3rd scale degrees, I mean. So the first, it's the same pattern. It's minor, diminished, then minor, minor, then minor, major, then major, minor, then major, major, then augmented major. So if you understood before, it's the exact same thing. It's just in a different place. And these are the first scales of the first 6 group of scales. And as I said before, if you want to go from scale to scale, you change the 6th or the 7th degrees in the formula. And if you want to change the group of scales altogether, it's the 2nd and the 3rd scale degrees that you apply this formula to. So what I'm saying is that for each of the scales currently on the screen, each one of these will go through the 6 different changes of the 6th and 7th scale degree. That's how these scales are each their own group of scales, because they change the 6th and 7th degrees each. But the chakras or groups themselves change by the 2nd and the 3rd scale degrees. I know that was a mouthful to explain, but it should be relatively easy to understand. And if you don't understand it, I am putting some resources in the description below for you to check out. And I list the name and the intervals of all the scales and their chakras in order. And as you look at them, you'll be able to see what I've just explained, and it should become clearer. So please check that out for what I've just explained to make more sense. But so now you're wondering how the first 6 chakras change from the other 6 chakras, and that's the variable I was talking about. The variable is the 4th scale degree. In the first 6 chakras, it's a perfect 4th, but in the last 6 chakras, it's an augmented 4th. So the pattern is the exact same for the 2nd and the 3rd degrees going from chakra to chakra, and the 6th and the 7th degrees going from scale to scale. It's just that after you're done with the first 6 chakras, you start all over again, but this time with a augmented or sharpened 4th scale integer. Other than that one variable, they are exactly the same. They follow the same formulas as I've described for the same reasons. It's just that in the first 6 chakras, it's a perfect 4th, and then in the last 6 chakras, it's a augmented 4th. Now, to review the rules, you can write this down if you want. The formula is minor, diminished, and then minor, minor, and then minor, major, and then major, minor, and then major, major, and then augmented major. And to go from scale to scale, you apply this to the 6th and the 7th degrees, but to go from chakra to chakra, you apply this to the 2nd and 3rd scale degrees. I know I'm repeating myself, but this is the only way to explain it, and I've tried to add visuals to make it easier to understand. And to understand further please check out the resources in the description below. And then to go from the first 6 chakras to the last 6 chakras, you change the fourth. You change the fourth from perfect to augmented. And the first rule is what I've just explained. If you change the second and third notes, it is a change in raga or scale. And then if you change the fourth, sixth, or seventh, it is a change in chakra or group of scales. And the second rule is the fifth is always perfect. So no matter what raga or scale or chakra you play, the fifth is always the same. In fact, in South Indian instruments, they're stringed instruments, they're all tuned to perfect fifth intervals, so they can drone open notes and it be, in tune to what they're playing, to the scale that they're playing. Now, I might have said this earlier, but I don't remember. This is perfect for people who want to make really ethnic sounding music, or they're specifically interested in Carnatic or South Indian music, or you might be a metalhead and you want to add very chromatic sounding scales to your playing. This is a perfect way to do it because you've taken the first scale that I've shown you and turned it into 72 different scales. And again, to rehash, you change from scale to scale in a group. So there's 6 scales in each chakra, and you use this formula on the 6th and the 7th degrees to change from scale to scale, and then use the same formula to change from chakra to chakra. And if you do this through each scale into each chakra, you do get 72 unique scales. And to go from the first 6 scales to the second 6 scales, you change the fourth from a perfect interval to an augmented interval. Again, I know that I'm repeating myself a lot, but I'm trying to explain it the best that I can, because you are learning 72 different scales. It's just that this is a very easy way of doing so, because the pattern is simple. If you go to the resource in the description below and look at all the scales mapped out, you'll see the formula. You'll see this formula from going from scale to scale and then chakra to chakra, and hopefully that will make more sense of this. Now lastly, this is a bit more advanced, but this will completely open up. If you're a guitarist, it will completely open up the fretboard for you. And if you're a composer, this will completely open chromaticism for you. I call this Raga Mixture, kind of based off of modal mixture. And what it is that because every fifth in a raga or scale is perfect, this means that as long as you drone power chords in the background of what you're playing, you should be able to alternate between any raga or chakra. That's all 12 chakras, all 72 scales, as you're playing. So you'll be able to alternate between all of the 72 different scales in one go, in one scale as you're playing. Even in one solo, even in one musical segment. The only real rule is that you shouldn't try to blatantly exit from a note not in the scale that you're going into, which is how the modal mixture and the quote-unquote raga mixture work, is because as long as it's ambiguous and it's going from a note that's in both scales, that you're exiting from one scale into the other, then it works. It sounds musically correct. And the power chords, which I know a lot of metal and rock music loves to play, the power chords are so ambiguous that they harmonize these 72 scales, just like you would have in modal mixture music. So in other words, you now have infinite note options in your playing if you're a composer, and if you're a guitarist, the fretboard is totally yours to play all of these different scales. In order to see all of the scales that I've been talking about listed out, you don't have to learn all of the names and all of that. You just have to learn the formula in the variable. The formula in the variable and the first and second rule in order to play all of the 72 different scales. I've listed them out in one of the resources below, and I do give a little bit of a tutorial there as well. So if me rambling was totally incomprehensible to you, do check out that written resource that I made. Maybe it'll make things a bit clearer. But I wanted to take the time to visibly show the formula and how each chakra differs from each chakra, and how each scale differs from each scale. The significance of this, if I can prolong this video a little bit more, is that I've never seen this written out in Western music before. I'm sure somebody knows about it, but I've never actually seen this. I've searched the web a lot, and I had to come up with all of this myself. And I'm not a teacher, obviously. I'm obviously just a student learning music theory and whatnot. And I'm obviously not an expert on Carnatic or South Indian music. But I did come up with all of this myself, and I am giving it to you for free. So please leave a like or a favorite on this video. Please share it with other people, because this is, 72 different scales from just one scale. This is one of the biggest things I've ever learned about on guitar or in music. And if you're a teacher, please teach this to your students in a way not as clunky and as terrible as me trying to ramble about it. Please teach this to people, because this is amazing, and more people deserve to know about it. So thank you for watching this video. Hopefully it was understandable. Again, there are resources in the description below, so if you go and check those out, you'll be able to make a lot more sense of all of this. Thanks. I hope that you did understand what I was rambling about, and I hope it does help you, because this is, a lot of music theory made as simple as possible. As I said before, I've never seen this in Western I've never seen this listed out in Western intervals before. So I had to manually type out all the intervals of the 72 different scales, and you can find where I typed those out in the resources below. Again, thanks for watching. Happy music making or music playing. Yeah, bye.